Do you remember the first time that I?
Oh yeah.
That I came to your house?
Absolutely. I remember we sat in the screening room, and I remember the sun was shining. You came in and you started talking. I'd read the script, and you just started talking about the film. And the next thing I know, you were almost dancing on the table.
No, wait a second. wait. No.
You were moving around.
Maybe I was kind of doing like a kendo thing.
No, man. You know, you were right there with the sword and jumping, and I was enthralled, and I got so excited about it. Just your enthusiasm and your intelligence and your insight into the characters and the time and what you wanted to do. I felt this is totally original.
It's like almost like you have to focus on action. So just go on camera left. Good. Now. Sorry.
I remember reading Bushido and the Code of the Samurai together.
Yeah, for the first time.
You know, when we talked about, I remember even our first meeting, we talked about honor, integrity, loyalty, compassion. These are things that I know you hold true to yourself, that are very important in my life and in our lives. And we were looking at today and what is this world like and the idealism of that code.
You know what I remember too? I remember as we first started to talk, I remember recognizing that we realized we both had sons, and that somehow this movie was caught up with those things that we hope to somehow teach or communicate to our sons. I remember that moment as being a moment when I went, oh, it was getting personal rather than only professional, and that was in fact a way into the movie and into the character later on in the film for you when you get to the village. I mean, that was something I saw very early, and I think that influenced me as we began to work on the script. When you were working on the script and the structure and shooting the scenes, you were talking, you know, we spoke of, you first meeting, you talked about the spirituality, the depth of character, honor, loyalty.
Action!
Remember the discussions, you know, we talked about how did you decide to shoot the action sequences in terms of how do you keep that elegance, that tone throughout the picture?
I really pledged myself. My son is, at the time we started, my son was 16, and we had been watching movies together, and I'd shown him The Great Escape or The Guns of Navarone, and I'd shown him Lawrence of Arabia, The Bridge on the River Kwai, I'd shown him Josie Wales. I somehow gotten into this thing of showing him some of my favorite adventure movies, but more than adventure movies, movies that had both ideas and action. And I kept thinking, well, why do these things have to be mutually exclusive? Why can't we go back to a kind of a movie that had both those things in it? And I just vowed to myself that I would honor the things that meant so much to me when I was that age. I wanted it to work, absolutely work, as this adventure movie, and romantic in the sense of, you know, the romance of Dumas, The Three Musketeers, the romance of somebody going to this foreign land and having this encounter with these strange, exotic people.
Rolling.
Even if it isn't really looking at the god, is that okay? But I think it shouldn't be as if that's his tatami space over there.
Now he starts to throw.
And then bring him up into that. And Al comes. I remember thinking, at any moment, is this working as a story? Am I picked up and carried by the story? That it's finally about the narrative, and that all the other things that you and I talk about all the time, about Bushido, about spirituality, about the political culture at the time, about the characterization, that it all has to serve the story. And you were ruthless about that, literally. I remember, you know, when we talked about the training, and you said this can't just be another sequence in which the lead actor learns a craft and then uses it. It's not simply about training. How is it about story? How is it about his relationship with Katsumoto? How is it about his relationship with Taka? You know, how does this sequence, that is an action sequence, also serve this, this great compelling narrative?
You were very specific in your direction when we got going. Well, always, in exploring. You allowed the exploration, but you were very specific, and we didn't do many takes.
Let's see, hold on. And cut. Let me see it. Right. Sit down.
Run it by Greg,
See what I'm doing? I'm going slow, but I'm looking like it's hard to do. I'm putting energy into it while I'm looking. Okay? It's very good. Your fall was very good. Your first fall with leg fall was very good, and your second falls were very good. So it's just about the look there at the end. They take 2 steps, and then bang. They look around, and they do what they did yesterday until we say freeze. Go.
And action. Boom!
Those men who get hit in the back raise their hand. So, if they get hit in the back, at this moment, they should be turned away from us. Okay?
When people see this movie, and I always like a movie that operates or affects people on many different levels, because some people might want the action, and there's the great action adventure, and it's a very romantic film. And there is also a deeper, more penetrating message that I think embraces life fully. But the thing that I really enjoyed watching you do is, we shot on 3 different continents. You look at the scope of this picture, how internal and beautiful the film is, how epic it is, but your ability to communicate as a director to people who don't speak English. Some of these actors did not speak English at all, and we were moving at a clip, and every performance is important and every moment is important, yet you had the ability to communicate very precisely in another language and get the performances that you want, and you also knew when you had the performance.
That's good, because the cameras are there trying to see over the him. Okay? That's your mark, Yuki, okay? Action! Action! Go! Just hold your line until Tom offers the sword to the boy. Then start your line.
When I step back.
Yeah.
I think you should just do it. I'll see it in his eyes and he'll go. That's okay, he'll start.
Fly.
That's good, thank you. Okay.
You're detailed to that time period and the respect that you're paying to a culture which is enigmatic in many ways. And I remember you and I having that discussion. How are we going to get in? Because I've been to Japan many times. You've been to Japan, and how are we going to get in?
It's confusing enough in a movie sometimes when there's a big cast, when it's your own culture, to sort of say, well, who's he and who's she and what is their relationship? So the clarity of that casting, I think, became doubly important to not just invest in them the sort of philosophical roles that they took in the story, but also that for an audience they would identify with them as completely as if they were somebody, in a familiar setting, in their own family, in an adventure story that was familiar. That was the challenge, I think, was to find people that were so distinctive and so complete as actors, and then to work with them to even further sort of individuate. I certainly remember that. Take on the armor. When you take the sword, as you're taking it out and you look, I need a moment for you to see what's happening. So you're taking the armor, then you scream. But I need for you to see what's happening. Okay? Okay, good. Sasuke will run in there. Go. Action. He runs in there. He grabs the sword. Right? Now he comes back. he's going to try to get Katsumoto. So your move is to block him, to stop him. Okay? Action. Right? Now guys, let's hold on there. Let's have Sosuke get to here, and you come to there. Okay? So one more time, Sosuke. And action. Great. Got the sword and come. Boy, that's good.
Remember the first rehearsal that we had with them?
Right.
Because you see the videotape, you go dynamic, good.
Right.
But I remember the night before going, okay, remember you and I talked about we really want to make it so safe for them and comfortable.
Right.
And what is their style going to be? How do you communicate? Because we were both being very particular. I remember the day about making sure that we were very, we studied up about the manners and what they expected. Were you as surprised as I was? And I think back, I shouldn't be, because suddenly there was that universal language of acting.
Yeah. I think movie culture, there may have been a disparity between what an actor was in Japan with the tradition of the no drama.
Her natural elegance.
It's true.
And
it's almost like dance training. It's very physical and very much like
aesthetic.
Yeah, that's right.
Strong and aesthetic, and to be able to center and that kind of power where it doesn't look stiff, where there's a fluidity to that.
Do you remember how funny Ken was?
Yes.
You gave him a hat. The first day you had those hats made, and the first thing he did was to sort of turn it around to look like yours, so that you were on a par with each other.
I know. That was wonderful. That humor.
That's right.
No, we have another shot on you.
Yes.
It's on both of you. He said it's on both of us. He's already finished.
Did you feel competitive with yourself because you directed a great training sequence in Glory?
Yeah, that's funny. I mean,
sleepless nights for you, or were you saying, "How am I going to do this? It's got to be better than the last time I did it."
I started to feel bad about it until I realized that John Ford made about 4 cavalry movies and stole from himself mercilessly in every one. So the fact that there may be some reference, there might be something that's a cousin to something else, or draw upon something, I realized, well, go with what you know. But also the final battle. I wanted to do a battle that topped anything I'd done before. That you felt you'd gone as far as you could, and then it went farther.
As we went along, I started to realize, I knew beforehand what an ambitious picture this was.
Right.
But I remember standing on the battlefield with you.
Right.
We were there. I remember looking over the thing, and I just looked at you. I said, "Did you have any idea that this was going to be ambitious?"
I think sometimes in a movie, if you act as if you know, and you have to sort of make those appropriate noises. But when you actually get there on the day and you say, "Oh my God, what was I thinking?" But the truth is, I think if we had not done all the work we had done beforehand, we never would have been able to make the movie. Can you get any more to your left or not? Higher. Can you see the lens? Good. Yeah. Okay. Good. Now everybody else can scoot in here too. And then can you come in a little bit here? Squeeze in. Come in. That's good. That's right. Now let me see what that looks like when Lee holds that thing up. Hold on, Lee. Lee. Now signal him, Lee. All right, now, you know what? We could maybe do this in the shot without separate things tight, right? Perfect. That's great. Okay, let's shoot it. Go! The world of emotion is the same in every language. And before there were movies like we make, there were silent movies. And things had to be communicated without words. And I think this movie, in fact, when it is most effective and when I'm happiest with it, is communicating without words.